Good morning. Today is Haulout Day.
Hello viewers and welcome to Full Spinnaker Ahead. This is episode 35 part 2, all about the 2025 Haulout. In this episode we look at the stern gland with an endoscope. We replace all the hole through fittings with the favoured design called True Design. We do a survey report for insurance purposes and find a wonderful product to lag our exhausts with. Before we carry on with the 2025 Haulout Part 2, let's just review what happened in Part 1. After we hauled the boat out and gave it a hydro blast, we inspected the propellers and found that the hub bearings or bushings were very worn. No parts for these propellers are available, so we manufactured a set of bushings on a lathe. And then the expertise of Alf Salzman made also some with a 3D printer. So if you're interested in that, have a look at Part 1. So let's get up and into Part 2 of the boat haul out, and this one is to do with the survey report by a company in Paynesville, and they basically list and come and inspect the boat and basically list all the specifications, even the Australian register, because this boat's a Australian registered boat, and all the dimensions. They go through each section of the boat, external, accommodation, cockpit, engine, and so forth and so on, and they make a description of the condition of the boat, and they also make a few recommendations about what they think needs to be done, because basically they're assessing the seaworthiness of the boat. I'd already planned on doing the hull through fittings, and these are in the picture now are the True Design fittings that you can get from their New Zealand brand, and they're well favoured in the insurance industry and by people. They reckon they're pretty good, so I fitted them. The other one through this survey report was to lag my exhaust, so I wrapped them in a fiberglass material and then covered that fiberglass material in that plaster looking type exhaust wrap, which was proved to be a really good product, and I'll show you that later in the video. Bushes that already have been done, and so what happened is we basically included the updates after I finished the haul out. It was become a revised edition of the survey report 2 or 3 weeks after the actual finish of it, and then sent to the insurance company as a requirement for insurance through Partaneous. About $1,000, not quite 1,000. I think it's a good idea. Gives you a bit of an idea where you stand. You get some good ideas, because this fellow was a shipwright, so, and it also gives the insurance company a good idea with serial numbers of outboards and things like that they're insuring for. So, although the expense is, especially if you're not making a lot of money, is always an issue, but I think overall it's worthwhile doing. And if you want insurance with Partaneous, you have to do it. So no real decision to be made there. Okay. Here the left-hand prop shaft is a lot stiffer than the right hand, so I've taken the whole shaft out. To check that all the bearings are okay, I used a boroscope to look down it, and that showed me that everything was okay, but just to be sure, I've decided to pull the shaft out to see if it's straight. We changed the cutlass bearings last year, and the cutlass bearings last year, and so they should all still be in pretty good nick, but I'm just going to throw this down there and show you what we see. The endoscope does show a satisfactory picture that there's no catastrophic failures in there, and you can sort of run it along the edge where it bonds to the stern gland and sort of see that it's not desponded or there's no great tears in it, which is really, it's pretty helpful. Then from the outside, this is the skeg cutlass bearing. It's actually in two halves. Now it looks alright. And then we'll have a look at the stern gland cutlass bearing from the other end. And you sort of get an idea that it's, again, not desponded and it's not mangled up or anything like that. And which again is pretty helpful. Just here going around the rim of that cutlass bearing, you can see where it's been bonded in, and that intersection looks quite good, and there's no tears in that material, especially at the front there. I just kept working my way around there and having a bit of a look. To test whether the prop shaft was straight enough, I sat it on a V-block style setup and rotated the propeller 90 degrees, measuring it over its full circumference just to see how far it was run out, and it was less than 3 thou, so I thought that was pretty good. Last time I checked my engine to prop shaft alignment the other day, I was out by 8 thou. So they always say don't do it with your flex coupling in, but it's a fair old job moving your shaft backwards and forwards when you're out and about. So I just wanted to measure this flex coupling to see what they're going on about, because a spacer's a spacer, isn't it? And this is what's actually in there, so I really can't see why it mattered, why you can't do it with this in there. I should be able to put this in there now and it should show me that it's 8 thou out. So I'm just measuring around the four bolt holes to see what the measurement is, and it all seems to be going in pretty nice. I mean, we are talking about thous here. This one's a bit tighter, but you're not talking any huge amounts. But it has to be done very accurately. It's probably what I'm not used to. So, like, you know, that's just what I'm trying to work out. One of the suggestions from the shipwright, the surveyor, was to put some lagging around my exhaust pipe risers. Now the exhaust pipe riser is where it rises up and back down to the outlet of the exhaust, or the exhaust collector, so that water can't siphon back into the manifold, and it's a part of the exhaust that's not cooled. So I'll just show you. It's this part here. It rises up and then comes back down to the exhaust and goes into the collector, and then that's the exhaust there. So what I've done is I've put some heat material, I've wrapped it around and put on some stainless steel tie wraps. That should hopefully reduce the heat, and the idea being that you're trying to prevent a fire if, say for instance, the diesel injector ruptured and there was a spray of diesel going onto a red hot pipe and that doesn't ignite. So that wrap just takes that heat out of it. Is the plan, and that's it there. It's a loop. I'll be interested to see how much that actually helps. It's pretty close. It's pretty close to the side just there. You can see just in here, it's close, you know, a finger's width to the edge there. It's already melted a bit of that insulation away. So hopefully it helps that. We're all kitted up because we've been putting on the fiberglass strapping, and now we've got this product here where you put it in water and then you wrap it around the exhaust, and in my case I've got 50mm strap around it, a fiberglass woven strap, and then I'm going to wrap this around it, and it's just going to contain it a bit better and provide a bit more insulation. So I haven't used it before, so I'm just going to try and do it on a bit of a hose here, and I'll put the tripod up and we'll get a bit of footage with it on. On the nitrils, I go through a lot of these. The safety thing is like a real discipline, because by the end of the day, by putting all this stuff on, you've hindered yourself immensely. Makes it less enjoyable, all of the above. Anyway, all of that'll suck in the hand. I'm just going to wrap a bit on here and see how this stuff works. Apparently you just stick it in a bit of thing like that, and then you just put it around. You can feel it's a bit slimy, and you wrap it around there. That's alright. Give it a bit of a wipe, you get a bit of shit all over you, and then it forms. I think that'll be good. So I might cut it into smaller wraps because I've got a few bends to go around. Try that. Take that glove off. Just get rid of a few of these little tabs. It's sort of a bit of a work in progress, because initially I thought it was just going to stay there like that, and then I thought, no, it's too it's too fibrous, this stuff, just to leave it like that. So just don't like the way it sits up, so I'm going to cut them off. Here we go, put him in the bucket. I don't think it needs much. And then just wrap it around and around. There we go. It seems to stay workable. I might find a problem in a minute. And that's it. It looks all right. It's pretty easy to use. I just hope that it holds nicely and just holds all that in. And I think that'll be a good job. I might just go around with a rag and clean up a bit of the spots on the outside around the hoses and that. It sort of smells like plaster of Paris. Maybe that's what it is. I'd say so. I really think it's a good system. I'm just going to cut these ones a bit shorter because I've got to wrap it around. I don't like my chances of getting that through. I'm going to give one a go and see how that works. Try and not but it's got to poke up through there, which is not easy to do. I don't know how I'm doing that, how I can do that. Maybe I can feed it from here, and I can move it along like that, and then maybe I can just poke it up through there with a steel ruler. Just have that over here. Steel ruler and a screwdriver. Steel ruler to poke it up so I can see the end. There it is. And a screwdriver to peel it out. Yep. that's not good. Telling me that there's some fibres in there. They aren't doing me all that good. I think I want to keep wrapping it, because that's, at the end of the day, that'll be a good way of making sure that it's actually going to stay on there nice. So I missed a bit there. I'm going to wrap that, and then we find we've got to go up there again. Here's a steel ruler. Up she comes, and up on way. Went up the wrong passageway there. I think. There we go. Now I can see it there now. And then get the screwdriver in there behind it and flop it over like that. And that will get us through to the end, I reckon, if we keep doing that. There she is. She's in place. It's very difficult to get there properly, but I think it's a pretty good job. We'll see how it all, when it dries out, how it actually looks. Hopefully it'll be reasonably solid, and it'll stay where it is. Pulled out the hull throughs the other day, and they were a bit brittle. And I went to Paynesville to get some new ones called True Design, which everyone's in favour of. What did that all cost? $1,400 for 7 outlets. So this is basically what I'm going to be changing. That's the skin fitting, and that's the valve. So that's today's job. Get them done. Got the toilet, doing the toilet, redoing all that. We just got and new hoses up past the water line, so sanitary hose and a few different hoses like that. This is the old skin fitting. Just slotted the outside of that fitting, and basically used chisels and a grinder to grind it back, and then just pushed it through. Worked pretty good. So try and get that done today. My dad's coming in later on to help with that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to shrink some area.
And all good. See ya. The 5th today. Yesterday we got all our hull through fittings ready for True Design hull throughs or skin fittings. We just that one there was taken back to the metal, and so we put an epoxy primer on it and then covered it with a barrier coat. And then when we went around to a lot of the other little spots that we just touched up with a bit of epoxy, then put a barrier coat on them, and the other ones are quite thick. So today's job is to get my hole throughs. There's been a couple of hole throughs that have had an angle come before the gate valve, and everyone reckons that's a big no-no, so I'm going to try and see whether I can do away with that and just have the skin fitting then straight away onto the gate valve. There's a couple of spots on the 2 sinks that make that very difficult because of a stringer and cupboards. But I sort of made a decision overnight that if the cupboard's in the way, I don't mind cutting tighten it a fair bit because there's a lot you can do with redoing that. I don't want to put another hole through the bottom of the boat. That's something I don't really want to do. We also cleaned up the rudder last night, but around this area here on these points it always goes back to bare metal every anti-fouling, so I've just gone around and cleaned it all up. I think at some stage I'm just going to have to give it a good dressing down, like get back to bare metal and redo the whole lot. But anyway, that's about it. My dad's coming today, and I'll just do a bit of video on the hull through. Actually, the orange is for when you tip over, so we never want to see that on top of the water. That'd be my suggestion anyway. Morning, Friday morning. We put the hull throughs in yesterday. Dad came and gave us a hand to hold the hull throughs from the other side. I'm just going to show you what they look like. So under here I gave them a fillet around there and put them in. So we've got 7 all up. Today's job is to tweak them up, so I just gave them a hand tighten, let the sealant go off, and give them another tighten, just to squeeze them in a bit harder. And then I'm going to fit the ball valves. There's a couple there that might need a bit of doctoring to keep it all in line properly, but I'll just get up here and quickly show you the other side. It's been slow. I'm the only one working now, so it's just costing too much with my other fella. So down here we've got the raw water one. This is a port hull. So on the other side we've got another 6 hull throughs, one for raw water, which we just had a look at, one desalination inlet, a sink outlet, a toilet inlet and outlet, and then a bathroom sink outlet. The toilet, I've been made aware that the toilet may need to have a bit of design change with a pipe going up and around to prevent any siphoning. But we just had a on-off valve here, if you remember, to turn it off, and also would stop it siphoning. And also on the outlet here, a little flapper valve, so when you discharge it goes out like that, but when it comes back it stops any water coming back. Let's do a bit of research and find out whether that's enough or not. So toilet outlet is there, and then the sink is down there, and we just keep going. Keep going is the key to it. We've got rain coming up, so this is a bit of a good day today, but should be just doing outside work. But I've only got my dad here for another so many. Today's his last day, so he's going away, so I'll get him in here to give me a hand. We had to cut a few holes in the wall to find out where there's a siphon hose in there with the siphon breather is that, and it runs right up the wall on the inside and then down, and then that breather runs up It just stops, breaks any siphoning effect. Got this auto exposure thing on again. Anyway, there it is. I think that's better. It always traps me. Wednesday morning. We've just got all our hole through fittings in, and we've got the plumbing connected. New hoses for the below water line. So basically in the bilge from all the skin fittings. So you got the desalinator there. That's the water tank. I've just put in some Versi seal that I had left over as a quicker option than making new tanks. So that'll do me for the next so many years before I probably just cut all this out and just make a big stainless steel tank. And then also in the front there, on the other side of that bulkhead, is another area for that I can put a water tank. There's another water tank there. The sink got a new hose. That's the wastewater for the desalinator. I'm going to just change all that hose too because it's all perished. And that's the new True Design Seacock. Up the back here, I decided to go with the bath toilet with 2 shut-off valves because I didn't like the idea of making a siphon valve which goes up and around with a little vent on top. I didn't know how to make that vent from the discharge line of the toilet without it theoretically pumping poo into the vent line and blocking it up and blah blah, and the smell. So I thought if I put an on-off valve, so every time you go to the toilet you turn that on. You could even have a micro switch on it and turn that on. That's the water coming in, and then that's the switch to turn the toilet on. So I'm gonna go with that. I haven't P-clamped everything yet. I'm gonna do all that just to take all the pressure off the fittings. In here is, that I never knew, there is a flapper valve, and in the old system it had broken away, so I put a new one of them in and opened up the line. So it'll definitely drain better, but I don't know how it will operate with the flapper valve because it goes up but it doesn't really sit right up. And the next other major one was the sink. You can't really see it in there, but that's the cutout I had to make. And I'll get a bit of light on there. I don't know. That's the sink cupboard. So definitely need some P-clips on that one. So now change one of those black lines there is the all along there. That's the stern gland water feed. Change that with a bit of fuel line. Now it's outside to see how we go with anti-fouling. See how much we can get in one day, because it's just me and that's it. So exposure's just really bad. Don't get it.
just keeps turning to auto exposure. Anyway. Down the precipitous stairs. So tape up along here. Get the Vivid Petite key coat silver. I'm going to do tape up one hole, key coat it, and put the first coat of anti-foul and see if I can how long that takes to do in one day. Probably take me all day, I reckon. Right, so let's go. End of the day, done one side, brand new, one coat of yeah, just packing up and going to go and grab the props where I've got the bushes. I've got the bushes mowed by Alf Salesman, a bloke I met when I did some work for him. He's a machinist and might even come for a trip. I think that's maybe what the repayment. Anyway, talk about that later. See ya. This caused me problems a little bit. I was sandblasting over there and I was getting a heap of dust and shit. It's very didn't really need it, but we got it, so hopefully it doesn't affect the boat at all. I reckon that with that sandblasting, it's a ferrous boat, so every little particle that comes off it it's got a bit of ferrous metal on it. So not only that, the dust just wasn't done properly. Like, to consider people around you, it definitely wasn't done properly. There's dust coming out of the curtains. Had to wear a mask. You just get caught up in the practices, I suppose. Did a last coat on my porthole. We've got one more coat to go. Doesn't look too bad. It was a bit warm and the paint goes off pretty quick. I'll tell you what the hard part is. The hard part is up here. Up the daggerboard pocket. That's the hard part. I'm pretty buggered actually. So I've got one more coat each side tomorrow. I'll have a clean up today, try and get those bilges cleaned up, vacked out and whatnot. Went and had a look at my propellers. They're just about ready with the bushes. And yeah, just keep going basically. speed. Got a bit of advice from the manager here, guys. And now I'm just cleaning up for zinc anodes on the rudders and under the hull. Put a little piece of sticky tape there so that I can just clean that off and put on the zinc anodes, which I've got up here. They're just 2 penny washer light anodes. Could have got bigger ones, but I didn't want to go bigger ones. I just got the same size. I just went, yeah, so they're going to go on. One's under the hull. The ones under the hull are this size, and you can see I've cut off a strap. At ports here, they have the ones with the straps, and then so I've drilled a hole through the middle and cut those straps off. I reckon that's alright to do that, even though the strap's made out of steel, ferrous metal. So, that's it. Catch up. Yeah, it's all parked up after the 3 weeks of maintenance. 21 days, $6,000. What are the other costs? Paint would have been, I'll do a costing of it later on. We're all sitting here on Chinaman's Creek. One pole wiring at the front, 2 attachment points at the back, backed onto a jetty in a nice calm spot. So better go and get the trailer and the car, clean that up and clean the boat up. The boat's just got stuff everywhere, but it's nice to have my house back. And I've got a friend coming this afternoon or later on this evening from WA that I've known for a long time. He's actually from the Western Districts of Victoria, but I really got to know him up in the Whitsundays, playing for the Whitsunday Sea Eagles.